Pablo, what did you think of the performance? Are you celebrating the win, lamenting chances that weren't finished? Did you see other stuff? Get to clean up after a 3-1 win? What did you think?
Yeah, listen, it's obviously easy to nitpick when you get the 3 points. I would, and I think that's the most important thing is that, not having games in succession week to week, it's hard to build a rhythm. You're training, you're trying to provide, you're trying to create an environment where these guys compete the right way, but it can never mimic what flow is in getting games in succession. So I think there was maybe a lack of sharpness in the final third, but I think the most important thing is we really hit on being really aggressive in that final third and creating chances, and we were able to do that. And so, and I think defensively for the most part, the guys, front to back, did a good job committing to the cause. And if we're going to be a good team in this league, we got to win both sides of the ball and in transition. And I think the guys did a good job of that. But again, I'm just really proud of the character of the guys in that locker room, because it's not easy not having game in whatever 2 weeks and still creating the amount of chances. And again, this KC team's a very good team. Their last win was away to LA Galaxy. They got some really good players. They're well organized, and so I don't want to diminish that aspect of it. It's MLS. Anyone can win, and the guy stepped up today.
Obviously, Diego Luna's World Cup hopes are a huge story. This was his first start, and then he scores in the 4th minute. What do you think that did as far as mindset for the rest of the game, and what do you think of the way he performed?
Yeah, no, I thought it was always going to be tough coming into starting your first game, especially with the weight of expectations. And I think not only for us here at the club, but also for the national team. And I don't think anyone, unless you've lived it, understand how heavy that is. And to be able to perform and score that goal, I think took a lot of pressure off of him. I think he was dogged in his work rate, dogged in his defending. I think he'd like to have a couple decisions back in the final third. But again, I think getting him in those areas, he's a difference maker, as he showed tonight. And I think this I think it was 80 minutes that he played. Will do him really well as we prepare for a tough 3-game week. What is it? Probably 2 weeks from now. So again, we're in that same thing. And I again, the reason why I think character is really important is because you can always make excuses in life. We didn't play in 2 weeks, and we have one game, and then we don't play for 2 weeks. And you can use anything you want to make excuses. These guys put their head down, do the best they can. They work for each other. They're committed to each other, and they play some fantastic stuff. So we obviously have some things to work on, but I think that we're going to make the best of this next week in preparation for a big 3-game week.
You're big on players, especially young players. How you train is how you play.
Mm-hmm.
Did Gozo try that kind of stuff in training routinely? Was he trying to do that in game, or maybe the first touch gets away from him a little and he just adjusts and does it?
No, there's not a shot that Gozo turns down in training. And sometimes I'm always saying, find the better pass. There's a pass to be made here. But that's the beauty of youth, is they don't care. They're not worried about what their teammates are going to say if they take a shot from 25 yards out from a very difficult angle. And Gozo, to be fair, has, again, credit to him, he's been working on his game, and I think it shows in these moments where it's almost instinctual now. He's not overthinking anything, and that's what young players don't do. They don't overthink anything. They just go. And Aiden's the same way, and Luka Moisa, and the whole cast of the youngers that we have. They're doing a fantastic job, and again, I think the big part of that is having supportive, experienced players around them that are okay with them making those decisions, and in this case, it was the right decision for Gozo.
Leading up to this game, and now just in the post game, you've pointed out anything can happen with any MLS team, and it doesn't matter that Kansas City's in last place. So when it's 1-0 at the half, and Salon's hit the crossbar twice, and had a chance in a breakaway to score, and he didn't, was there any temptation to go to a veteran or Tunja who can finish chances like that? Or because you had to lead, did you think, hey, the youthful guy's creating chances, he'll finish one? What was your thought process?
Yeah, I don't really think about it like that. I think more of how it affects the individual if I were to make that decision. I don't think about things like black and white as far as team and winning this game. I'm always thinking long term. I'm always thinking what's best for this individual in this moment. And if you pull him out there, then when we put him back in, he's probably going to be half the player that he was, right? And so I think the hardest thing to do is get in positions to have those opportunities. That's the hardest thing to do. And his movement and his ability to see plays before they happen is what makes Serge a very, very good player. Finishing is obviously the toughest thing to do, and he's probably 6 inches away on a couple of those from netting a hat trick today. So again, I believe in all these guys, and especially with younger players, is you got to give them time, and they've shown in this short part of the season that they're all capable of making a difference.
What did you think of Spearings in his first start?
I thought Stein was exceptional today. I thought he was really good in possession, but what was really really great for me to see was his ability to repress. The amount of balls that he won in transition was excellent. The way he occupies space as a defensive as a midfielder, negating passes but also intercepting passes. I thought again, and the expectation would be that an experienced player of his caliber makes really good decisions, and I'd say he probably had 40 decisions to make, and he probably made 39 great ones.
Hey, Pablo, congrats on the win. How did the midfield gel? I mean, we had Alex step in on the left side,
Mm-hmm.
and it didn't seem to affect much of the team
Mm-hmm.
chemistry. Everything seemed to be on the front foot.
Yeah, I think the way I coach and the way the coaches work is everyone gets reps during the week, and I think the expectation doesn't change because someone else is gone. The expectation is that the player that steps in completes the tasks that are asked. And I think Alex had a really good game today. And little things that we've been working on, is not just crossing the ball to cross the ball, but really making passes across the face of the goal. And the one that Serge hits off the bar was a really, really high-level pass from Alex Katranis to find Serge in that spot. So, again, I'm just really proud, and that's why I keep talking about team, because oftentimes as coaches we can say, well, we don't have this guy. What did you expect was going to happen? But I'll never make that statement, because I believe that as a staff, we're intentional about making sure that everyone understands what their roles and responsibilities are. And the other part, too, is to allow the players to express their best selves. Everyone's going to make mistakes, but let's make mistakes trying to do the right thing for the team. And I think Alex and Stein are two guys that did an exceptional job tonight.
And then you didn't give up a lot of chances in the back, but there were 2 goals that went in, one called back for offside, of course, but any concerns back there?
Well, again, I think the goal that we conceded was, again, it was an individual decision. I think, again, oftentimes we get carried away about wanting to be a team that possesses the ball, and there's got to be this alarm system where the game state's really important. We're up a goal, or up 2 at this point, but we still want to play. We want to be professional in our decision making. We can't relax just because we have a 2-0 lead. We want to go to 3, but the most important thing now is preserving that shutout. And I think we just made a wrong decision on the back line that led to that goal. And in credit to Jovic, he's a fantastic striker. That wasn't an easy finish, but he buried it. And I think that is a good reminder for us that we can't take our foot off the gas. We've got to be really diligent and focused in every moment, because every moment can change the game.
Pablo, congratulations. What do you take from a game like this where, by all expectations, this is the result that was expected for Real Salt Lake? Do you focus on what happened, or maybe what you could have done better?
Well, a little bit of both, right? Because I think we can have certain expectations going into the game, and then the event, the game, asks you a bunch of different questions, right? So you don't punish them in the first half, and you leave it a little bit open-ended going into the second half. I think they come out of the gates in the second half with a bit of belief that they can nick it. They've survived 7 or 8 chances on goal, and so now they're kind of growing into the game. And so, but again, I think that's why we talk about managing games. And we've been, like I've said this earlier, in preseason, it's been a really deliberate, intentional focal point for us is how do we manage games. Last year we didn't do a good job of that. This year we have a good blend of building from the back, like you saw in the, I think it was the second goal, was a fantastic build from the back goal where Rafa plays quick versus just slowing down so that they can set up so that we can play and within our structure. And I think you have to have a feel for this, and this is really important for us moving forward. When do we play fast? When do we slow it down? When do we go long? When do we go short? And so we'll continue to grow in this fashion. But I think I'm really pleased with the result. I'm really pleased with certain aspects of the performance. But again, I think our what we talk about from week to week is we want to be a better version of ourselves, regardless of who we play the following week.
And lastly, for me, the new players have come in. How's the integration going? It looks like you might have RSL, the front office, everyone involved has done a great job in finding some great new players that seem to have talent that is kind of off the charts.
Yeah, no, I think the alignment. I think again, I've been at many clubs, and I would say really in the last 2 years, where ownership, front office, coaches, and players are all aligned is a rare thing. And I think when what I mean by that is, our ownership prides themselves on bringing in what they call builders. We want to build something, right? And that's their vision. That's how they run all their companies. That they're builders. They want to build human beings along with professionals. And so I think an important aspect of that is bringing character people in here. And I think if you have an opportunity to speak to any of the new guys, you would say, wow, not only are they fantastic soccer players, but they're wonderful human beings. And so we have a bunch of builders in that locker room, and of course, myself, the rest of the staff, we continue to fine-tune our crafts to be builders as well. And so when you have that alignment and you bring in great players with quality character, you get the team that we have today.